Welcome back. In this video, we're going to catch up with our companions and get ready to progress the storyline.
Waste a step.
So we'll start by coming down and chatting with Halson.
Already feeling better.
Oakfather preserve you.
We'll ask about Jaheira.
Only by reputation. She was present when we marched against Ketheric Thorm, but on the far end of the battle lines from where I fought. And in the chaos that ensued, well, our forces were scattered. I led some to safety, but never learned of her fate. I'm glad to hear she survived. Though in truth, I should not be surprised. She was always said to be formidable and cunning. I could have learned much from her, no doubt.
We'll say that he seems to admire her.
There is much to admire, judging by the stories. I cannot help but wonder how she would have handled some of the challenges I faced as Archdruid. Defended the Grove, Korga, the Shadow Druids. At least now we can benefit from her presence, and perhaps work to a common goal.
We'll ask about what happens when the curse is lifted.
Honestly, I never thought I'd make it that far. But the Absolute is a threat to all, and I promised I'd help you with your parasite. So, I'll remain with you. If you'll have me, that is.
And we'll say that we wish he'd joined earlier. I wish he had joined earlier. It'd be nice to have a druid in Act 1.
So do I. But one duty at a time.
We'll ask about what happened before when the Shadow Curse was unleashed.
Druids and Harpers joined together to put a stop to Ketheric Thorm. We marched on Moonrise, and after much fighting, we prevailed. Even in defeat, though, Ketheric turned to Shah. Not long after we sealed him away in his tomb, the Shadow Curse took hold. No one had seen the likes of it before. No one knew how to react. Then it started to claim all those within its reach. Those who had survived the battles now fell to the shadows, became part of the shadows. And worst of all, I lost contact with Thaniel. I wanted to try and find him, but we couldn't stay. We would have all succumbed. When the Archdruid of the Grove, my predecessor, was seized by the curse, I had to lead the survivors to safety. That was my first day as Archdruid. An inauspicious beginning.
And we'll say it sounds like what he did saved lives.
You are right, but I must not lose focus until everything has been put right. I've wasted too much time already. Years in which nature has suffered.
And we'll ask how we're holding up.
I've been unfair to you. I've had unrealistic expectations of your character ever since I joined you. But honestly, you've surpassed even those. Seemed my faith was more than well-founded.
We'll ask about getting to know him.
It's true, and I can't imagine I helped with that. Sometimes I let the task at hand consume me, and people think I'm obsessed. Trust me, the day I no longer have to talk about the Shadow Curse will be a happy one. What would you like to know?
So we could ask why he's so big.
I am? Trust me, it's been said. You show more restraint than most in avoiding the subject until now.
We'll ask how that came about.
Who's to say? Perhaps there's a half-orc buried somewhere in my ancestry. Or perhaps not. Sometimes I think conventional wisdom is too narrow about what someone can or cannot be. stranger things have most certainly happened.
We'll ask about how he came to be a druid.
I had a friend when I was young, long ago. He played with me in the forests where I grew up. But eventually, I realized no one else had heard of him. It was Daniel, of course. Nature was my very first friend. I get older, but he hasn't changed a day. I knew then that I had to be more than a companion to him. I had to be a protector.
We'll ask if he's got family.
You're not a doppelganger, are you? Trying to study me to learn all my secrets so you can take my place? Save for me, my line perished a long time ago. They rest in high forest now, near the shade of the grandfather tree. The grove became my family, with Sylvanus as my teacher. And now I have you.
And we're going to say we're sorry for his loss.
It was a long time ago. The wounds don't heal, but they become more bearable.
And we're not going to ask about lovers. We're not doing any romance stuff in this playthrough. And we'll ask to hear about something we wouldn't ask.
I suppose you wouldn't be shocked to learn I love animals and nature? I know. Well-trodden territory. Well then, let's see. I whittle in my spare time, and I've something of a sweet tooth. Although everyone's very amused when I say I like honey.
We'll ask what he makes when he whittles.
Ornaments, utensils, and ducks. I like ducks.
And we'll say thank you for sharing.
Thank me by returning the favor, why don't you? Come on. I'm sure you've something better than carving wooden ducks.
We'll say that we live in mortal fear of krakens.
Well, they are fierce creatures from what I understand. But as long as you avoid the high seas, I think you can consider yourself safe.
And that's enough for now.
Anytime.
And we'll go ahead and leave, and we'll move on.
The druid Halsin spoke to me while I was sleeping. He spoke of you. Said that you fought shadow and spite to restore me. 100 years of sickness almost ended. I feel every root that riddles the earth beginning to unfold. But there is one anchor, still holding the shadows in place. The soul that brought it into being, for the land to heal. Ketheric Thorm must die.
Okay, we were going to talk to the creepy kid on our own, but I guess he wanted to talk to us a lot. So we now know that we won't see a change in the environment until Ketheric Thorm has been killed. And we'll come up to our allies' tents and we'll talk to Gale.
A savvy move recruiting Halsin to our cause. While I'm adept at most forms of weave manipulation, druidic magic is not my area of expertise. He will make for a most useful option to have in reserve.
We'll ask about Mystra being a demanding goddess.
She expects those who seek to use the weave to do so honestly, and with respect for its potential to destroy, as well as its potential to save. I doubt she's asked many of her followers to blow themselves up. That's a fate she's bequeathed exclusively to me. She wouldn't ask such a thing if it weren't our only means of survival. However much she's annoyed at me.
We'll ask how he's feeling.
Oh, you know me, ever the optimist. I'm trying to focus on the positives. Truth is, I was living on borrowed time already. Consuming those items would only have kept the orb sated for so long. If anything, I feel more at peace than I have in months. At least now I know my death will have purpose. won't be a distant bang in the footnotes of history.
And we'll leave it at that. And we'll follow up with Shadowheart.
These lands may not be under the thrall of Lady Shah for much longer. No matter. She wishes for Ketheric Thorm to be punished. Her darkness was a blessing offered before he betrayed her. She can redirect her powers elsewhere once he is cast down.
Some serious mental gymnastics there.
He's trouble. Worse, he's a traitor. Whatever loyalty he had towards Lady Shah is long gone. It would please her greatly to see him meet his long overdue end, I'll wager.
And we can talk about what happened.
What's on your mind?
And we'll ask how we're holding up.
How are you holding up? Don't be so modest. I can't remember the last time I met someone like you. Perhaps I never did. And never will again.
And we'll turn to other matters and leave. We'll talk to Karlak.
Halsin is one hench elf. I'm impressed. And glad he's on our side.
We'll ask about Flo, her friend in Avernus.
You saw the extent of Flo's friendship. She'll lend you a hand, long as she can crush your spirit while she's at it. I knew never to let my guard down around her. She always made me laugh, even when I least wanted to. If she'd been completely different from who she was, we might have been real friends.
We'll ask about the note.
Nothing worth reading. Cambion manipulation at its most obvious.
We'll say that it's a pity.
I guess she did. Much as it makes me want to puke to admit it. Devils, you know. Fucking devils. They really screw with you, don't they?
We'll double check and make sure she has nothing else to say.
Proper for your thoughts.
And that's the end of that. We'll talk to Will.
Halsin is such a delight. Woe to the cultist who tangles with that thick hunk of an elf.
We'll ask if he knows where Duke Ravengard is. We've already cleared out all of Moonrise.
Not in a mere prison cell, certainly. My guess, Thorm will have confined him in the bowels of the tower. The deeper we dig, the closer we get.
We'll head over and talk to Lizelle.
Halsin's proved himself a fine ally already. He'll be useful in battle, if those tree trunk arms are an indication.
And that's all she has to say. It's funny that they all compliment Halsin's physical size when he is not really a physical, hand-to-hand kind of warrior. We'll have Astarion exit out of his disguise, and we'll talk to Astarion as well.
Moment. Seems like a good moment to talk.
Well, hello. What can I do for you?
We'll ask about the Orthon that we convinced to kill itself.
The Orthon is nothing. I'll have my satisfaction when Raphael makes good on his word.
We'll say, a thank you would be nice.
Thank you for helping me. It was very kind.
We'll ask if there are other vampire spawn.
Cazador, sired 7 spawn. Me and my 6 brothers and sisters. I was one of his first. Some of the others came years later. He was a monster to us all. But did take special pleasure in my pain. He said, My screams sounded sweetest. And now that I'm gone, I don't know. I pity the other 6.
And we'll end the conversation there. So we've followed up with, I think, everyone in camp. Let's double check. Yep. All right, so that's everyone we need to talk to, and we're going to go ahead and turn in for the day. We have used quite a few of our resources, although they're not used up. We could, if we wanted to, do a little more exploring or some random encounters. We'll take a look at our experience meter here. We've got about half of the way through level 9. So we'll go ahead and click end the day, and we'll take our first long rest. We'll do this several times, and so we'll do a series of long rest videos in the next episode. So we'll get through all of the camp events for Act 2 prior to combating Thorm and ending the chapter. I'll catch you there. Thanks.